So this boat belongs to the guy that gave us the Catalina. We're getting ready to move it to a different marina. He asked if we would help move it, so we were happy to help, of course. So it's a Cheoy Lee Clipper 36. I think it's about a 1975. It's a really cool boat. It needs a lot of work, but overall it's in pretty good shape. It's light years ahead of where we started with our boat, so.
He can cast off bow.
His son Josh is coming along to help us.
He can just push us, yeah.
And we got our buddy Reagan to come along. That's him at the helm. I opted to bring my dinghy just in case we needed a life raft of some kind.
Hope it goes into forward.
So the engine runs pretty good. We had only run the engine once before, so we still weren't really sure how reliable it was going to be. So the whole trip was a little nerve-wracking since we were going to have to be getting into the ship channel. And it's always a little sketchy being in the ship channel when there's massive ships and you're not 100% confident in the engine.
So one of our concerns was the fuel filter clogging up and dying on us as we're trying to get out because it's really choppy today. And even though Zach did test the engine and they ran it, but it wasn't this choppy. So that was kind of our concern, but it's been doing really well and it was really bad back there. So I feel like if it was gonna die, it would have done it back there.
It was only about a 12-mile run, so ended up taking about 3 hours total. But overall it ended up being pretty uneventful. The engine did seem to be running a little hot, but it kind of held at the same temperature for a while, so I wasn't worried about that anymore. I think his son is going to be taking on a lot of the work. He's definitely got his work cut out for him, but if he can get this boat restored and looking good again, he's going to really have a great boat on his hands. Alright, so I've started back working up here in the V-berth. I went through and added some fillets to all this little support structure that goes underneath all of the plywood that makes the top of the V-berth. And that's all cured now, so I'm just going to go back through and sand down a few spots. Most of this has already been sanded, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint the inside of these lockers. I'm going to be glassing on the top of the bunk here, and that way I can paint all up under these spots. It'll be pretty hard once these pieces are glassed in place. So when I get this painted, then I can glass the top on and go from there. Alright, so for paint I'm using this Kilts adhesion, and this stuff is pretty good. I've used it once before, and you can even top coat it in like epoxies and stuff, so it's a pretty cool paint. And then I'm going to top coat it with this Easy Cabin Coat. And the cool thing about these paints is that there is no sanding required in between coats, so makes it really easy. So I've used this stuff on all the other stuff I've painted inside the boat, and it's a pretty good finish. It's definitely not as hard as like an oil-based finish, but seems to have pretty good like abrasion resistance, and seems to come clean pretty easy. And it's held up pretty well so far, so I'm just gonna go ahead and paint the rest of it with this stuff. So back aboard the Catalina, been doing quite a bit of work in here. Got the electrical panel pretty much installed. So I've got a AC main, and I need to find the right label to put there. So it's just a temporary one. Then I've got outlets, battery charger, air conditioner, and the air conditioner actually works, so it's pretty nice. The AC I just have hooked up temporarily. That's why there's wire nuts. I'm going to be getting rid of those. I just ran out of connectors. So I'm going to go back and fix that. And all the AC stuff over here, I need to come up with a isolation little box for it. So I was thinking about just building something out of plexiglass or Lexan. That would look pretty cool, just to keep the AC side isolated from the DC stuff, and just to make it more safe for when people are working in here. You should never be working in here with the shore power plugged in anyways, but just in case. Also installed a battery charger. It's a pretty nice one, and it'll charge both the starter battery and the house battery. So it's nice not having to worry about charging the batteries. All I have to do is learn how to close this door. Yeah, all I have to do is make sure shore power is hooked up and switch on the battery charger. So pretty cool. So I've also been fiddling around a lot with the engine, trying to get it running and starting good. Pretty much there now. So there was one hose in the fuel line that was loose, and I think it was letting air into the system, so I was having to bleed it every time I went to start it. So I think I fixed that problem by changing out the hose clamp. Someone had used a shark bite connector. That's the hose clamp back there. And it didn't really close all the way, so I think air was getting in through there. And seems to have fixed the problem. But we've got it pretty clean down in here. It's pretty livable now, so you can hang out down here if you wanted to. And then up here in the cockpit, I've been working on getting the pedestal all put back together. So we have a new pedestal guard, the railing there. I also installed this little cup holder, and I made this custom cover for it. Getting a little better at sewing. So I just bought this. It's like a sea teak, I think, and varnished it. I was gonna make one, but this was only like 40 bucks. So figured I'd save some time and just buy it. But yeah, it's nice. I was tired of spilling beers whenever we were sailing. We have spilled a lot of beers, so this should help. Yeah, this thing's pretty solid. I need to polish it. I think I'm gonna take it somewhere and have them electro polish it, because it's just a piece of stainless tubing. It doesn't really have like a finish on it. But it's nice tubing. It's 316 stainless, 316L, so it's really nice. And then I made this cap here for the pedestal out of some starboard, and I cut it out on the CNC machine. And that came out pretty good. It's got some cut marks here on this little fillet I'd put in, but that's all right. So the other big thing is first time we went sailing, we started taking on water pretty bad. It was pretty hilarious. The guy, Jason, the guy we went sailing with, he just looked below and there was just like a load of water down there in the cabin sole. And he went down there and then he poked his head back out and he's like, yeah, we should turn around, we're sinking. But the bilge pump wasn't on, so once we turned that on, we were fine. And I think we solved the problem. So yeah, there's a hose back here. It's the this cockpit drain on the port side. It was just really dry rotten. And I think we were only taking on water when we were heeled to port. So I think it was this cockpit drain, and that's above the water line normally. But when we were heeled, it was pretty windy. I think that was under the water at that point, so it just started kind of just floating the boat. It seems to be fixed now, so. So now I'm just going to come back and do some tabbing, tab all this in, and then I can paint all this stuff.